Lately I've been thinking, is it possible to be a patriotic Muslim? Good question. See, I was born in America, grew up as a young Muslim with roots in my homeland, Pakistan, aka Pakistan, which apparently means I'm supposed to be an enemy and a militant man who doesn't give a damn about the lives of innocent women and children, and according to some news, I'm supposed to be the dude who doesn't agree with their views and has explosives in his shoes, but I don't. As a matter of fact, my feet barely fit in my size 10.5, but they still question what's beneath my soul. So I'll tell them the truth. And that's that I am a Muslim, but an American too, because back in the day when I was a kid and I'd end up praying and finishing, I'd usually watch Hey Arnold or America's Funniest Home Videos while microwaving a bowl of SpaghettiOs and playing that Who Let the Dogs Out song on my stereo. And I was never violent or anything because the only gun I ever had was a Super Soaker 5000. It's a water gun, by the way. And all I want is a good family, nice housing, but some people don't want that. I once heard a man yell that mosques shouldn't be built in America. He said, "This is our land, home of the brave." And a woman said, "I bet the founding fathers are turning over in their graves." And it made me think, if we look back to the historical records saved, can we predict what the founding fathers would have said? Well, let's give it a try. Thomas Jefferson, author of the Declaration of Independence, had his own copy of the Quran and even hosted the first presidential iftar, which is the breaking of fast in Ramadan. And George Washington himself personally invited Muslims to Mount Vernon, asking if they're good workmen. So why all the hate when a Muslim leader, the Sultan of Morocco, was the first to recognize the independence of the United States? So you see, Islam in America is not something new, because the first Muslims in America were African slaves that were forced to represent the red, white, and blue. But is it fair for me? Is it fair for me to say that every American supports slavery? No. So just know that the majority of Muslims do not support terrorism, because the average Muslim and the average American are just trying to make ends meet, like that working father who was laid off last week but still took the time to smile at me on the street, or my elementary school teachers who taught me how to read and write and to speak out loud and told me I would succeed because I'm bright and my parents should be proud. They're all Americans and a part of me too, you know. It was hard not to tear up when I saw a young boy with a handful of flowers but an eyes full of tears because he was only 4 when his father died in the Twin Towers. It was hard not to cry when I see the images of a young boy who was killed in the Boston Marathon, you see. But it's also hard not to cry when I see the fear in Pakistani children's eyes as they look up into the night sky, because hundreds and hundreds of children have died from drone attacks by the United States and allies. It's hard not to tear up when I hear the final testimony of an Iraqi woman. When I hear the final testimony of an Iraqi woman who was tortured, humiliated, imprisoned, and forced into submission, all in Abu Ghraib, a United States-operated prison. So is it possible to be a patriotic Muslim? So is it possible to be a patriotic Muslim? Yes, because I am one. And being patriotic to me doesn't mean that I blindly support every activist nation or every piece of legislation, because honestly, I can do without a lot of the foreign policy. Being patriotic to me means I want the best for this country and the people in it. And no, my grandfather was not from here. In fact, it's a place he has never known. But I hope that my grandchildren will still call this place home.